So good morning everybody, I'm Niall Sebastian Power Sieger. This video is for the people which do see the video, of course, but also for the family members of Prince Philip. So I'm in contact with the creature who have lived in the human body, who is Prince Philip. Regarding the identification, the creature himself do identify himself as the creature who is Prince Philip, and he can canalize the wind to communicate. So he can trigger the wind level to a higher wind level if I ask him a specific question and if he wants to agree. That is important to understand. So the creature will trigger the wind now, and you will see that more wind is reaching this wind tool, and that's why they are standing in the wind like this. Okay? You can see they move also a little bit because wind is canalized there. And that is the creature identifying himself as the creature who have lived as the man Prince Philip. That's for your understanding. There is another video online from the 9th of April. So, and there's another video online where the creature who identify himself as Prince Philip um, also presented himself and did communicate with the people which are able to watch the video, including his family members. To Philip, can you agree to that one more time by triggering the wind and by canalizing the wind? So regarding your identity and regarding the other video we did produce. And you can see that he's triggering the wind again, and that's why this wind tool is lifted up by the wind. See? And with that, the creator is communicating, yes, the identification, that's me, the creator who have lived as the man Prince Philip, the creator which is canalizing the wind. And he's agreeing to the fact that we did produce another video. The other video, please watch that also, especially if you are a family member of him, so of Prince Philip. Because in the other video, I communicated and he communicated by the same method that he would like to speak to his family members. Also for a better identification of himself, so that the family members have to get the chance to ask questions, to test this creature out, so that the creature who identify himself as Prince Philip can prove that better, more. And that's correct, right? And if that's correct, if you see it like that, then please trigger the wind more. And he did trigger the wind more, and that's why you can see the wind tools are lifting up again. So I'm in contact with one of the family members. I'm gonna send the video also to you. We had contact on Facebook. So normally I live in Bonn. This video here is also captured in Frankfurt, but I will leave the area of Frankfurt am Main this evening to Bonn, and normally I stay in the area of Bonn in Germany. So that is an information because of our chat on Facebook. So it's as I said in the other video, and as Philip made clear, that for him I think it would be good if they could get a meeting arranged where other people check his identity, maybe people which didn't know him very well, so that he can prove his identity better, and then these people could learn, potentially his family members, how he can communicate with them, so they can learn to understand this system better if wind is used for communication purpose, and he would be able to communicate with them directly afterwards, after they get a little training. And Philip is saying yes to that because he thinks also that would be possible. And in the other video, you could see I did ask the question. He would also present himself then, so we could arrange an appointment, meet, and then I would come with him to that place, and there he would be able to communicate with you is what he thinks today, as far as he can see, and I think the same at the moment. Can you agree to that one more time by triggering the wind clearly, so a little bit stronger? And you can see he's triggering the wind stronger where I pointed my finger at before. Okay. Um, it's going to be easy by the wind method for him, so for Prince Philip, to reply to yes or no questions. And the family members, for example, they could create a test including questions only Prince Philip they think could answer. And then that would make possible for Prince Philip to go through the test and to identify himself with that test. Okay, and the questions for the test, of course, the family members and the friends of Prince Philip maybe have to create them, or maybe the security agencies in the UK, because he was also a public figure. So then maybe they have also a system to check his identity, and he's triggering the wind clearly because he would be willing to do such tests and to identify himself, so that you can understand that. So that's the yes. Okay. Um, I'm able to communicate with him on a high level, on a good level, so I can explain that to other people live when it is done. Okay, so when I'm practicing it, that's the best situation where other people can learn uh, to outreach the wind system and to understand the communication. And during I speak out, um, Prince Philip is agreeing to what I'm saying by canalizing the wind. So please always watch the tools and the background, because he also can use the trees in the background. But mainly we communicate over the tools. Now the wind is triggered in the background here with the small trees, and the big trees start to shake. So you can watch both the tools and the background, because the tools are so close to me. Of course, it's the easiest thing for me to watch the tools. So be aware that that is the main tool we communicate over, or at least Prince Philip used to communicate with me and you, the people which are watching the video. But he can use also all the background, because what you see is environment control, weather control by the creator Prince Philip, with support from other creators. So you have some support from other creators in the symbiosis to present yourself like that, and to answer to questions. That's correct, right? And you can see he's triggering the wind a little bit to make that point clear. Okay. So um, details, of course. If you have questions regarding this communication systems, you could bring all the questions to such an appointment, and then Prince Philip can answer questions. Yes or no questions is the best. Um, and regarding the identification, I think it would be good for him, because then maybe they could get a method established which creators later can use to identify themselves easily in the future, when you want to have other contacts or more contacts with other people. Um, and also for your family members, I think it would be very great to have that, and then they would be able to communicate with you. For example, I could come to the UK, or they could travel to Germany, and then you are able to communicate with them there where we meet, and he's agreeing to that. Okay, so I think he really wants, as far as I understood it, he really wants to communicate with his family members. That's very important for him. And you can see how strong he did trigger the wind, and it's getting windy back here as well. You can see the movement of the huge trees back there, because he produced a lot of wind to agree to that. So that's his main focus, of course. And also there's another information. It is possible that in the future I will produce with him other videos regarding topics where we inform the public about stuff, not about your family stuff, no, about possibilities creators like him have today to communicate with living humans, because I do inform about universal communication. So, but we can separate that. Like after we have the first good contact, after that we can separate that, and you can get your private videos, private, not on a YouTube channel or whatever. We can establish there a data stream to you if you want. So I'm willing to support him, and I'm willing to support his family members if they want to use the opportunity, and then hopefully you have the chance to identify yourself best as possible, because that's what he wants. You can see how strong he's canalizing the wind for that. and hopefully your family have them the best opportunities to learn how you can communicate with them and to realize how they can use your possibilities to communicate with them as well, to be able to understand your position today better, how you look at things with the new knowledge you have and all that. And he's agreeing to that. I'm gonna explain some more stuff. There are a few technical details regarding this communication and how I communicate with Philip and how he's communicating with me and which tools we are using. So communication methods can get established, okay, organized between each other, between me and him, for example. And with the wind tools, I explained that in the other video, so I'm gonna explain it here. If you want to say easy, yes, and clear, he can trigger the wind to a higher wind level. If I have very specific questions, then we also can work with the tool different, because there's a star on one side of that tool, and on the other side there's no golden star. So if he's turning that tool in a way that he's presenting the golden star, he can say yes with that, or he can turn it to the part where no star is presented, where no star is placed, and with that he can also say no. That as an extra information, but to keep it easy, he mostly will just trigger the wind to say yes if he can agree to something. I communicate with him by this method, which I can make transparent by filming it for you, the family members and the public. But I can communicate with him on several other ways as well, and he can communicate with me on several other ways as well, including body sharing, which means if he's leaving signals or informations in my biological human body. All these topics are becoming very complex if I talk about them, so I don't want to go too deep into that. First of all, it is, I think, important that the family members do understand they have the opportunity to communicate with him, and he would like to communicate with his family members. Okay, and also there's another information. Because the natural environment is used in the area where I live on a huge scale sometimes. Um, it would make sense, because we talk about the royal family. If we want to meet, it would be good to have a contact partner regarding security questions. Because creatures like Prince Philip, who's using that for peaceful communication, can use the natural environment. Other creatures can use that as well to destroy things or to attack people. So, and that's why I would like, if the family members want to meet, that's why I just would like to have a contact partner in that regarding security questions, just to ensure that a procedure is organized in case any problems do come up. So then it's not stressful and should work out. Philip, you think it could work out peacefully, most likely, right? The communication, most likely, yes. And the other thing is, because I have bad experience as well, not with him, with other creators, that's why I'm saying that in general. Most likely the communication, when Prince Philip them gonna show himself, present himself, communicate with the family members in case they want to use that opportunity and meet up, most likely they're gonna be a peaceful event. That's how it's planned. But I cannot see everything what's going on in the universe. So I said the other stuff to be clear, to be prepared in case of. So, so I think. Oh, let's solve that question for your family members. So you are have the opportunity to present yourself here clearly because you have a lot of support in this symposium. That's correct, right? So that's why you can use the method to use wind to communicate so clearly. Yeah. And you cannot guarantee as a creator that you always get everywhere the support to present yourself like that, right? And he's triggering the wind for that also. Okay. To the family members, I explained a little bit. I'm communicating with a lot of creators which have lived as human beings before, and I do inform about that topic. In my case, I know that creators like Prince Philip, if they communicate with me or in the area where I am, they have a lot of support, often from other creators also, which support them to be able to do so. I know that's the case in the area where I am, and that there it do not matter if I'm in London or in Frankfurt or in Bonn. But I don't know how the situation is with other people in general. All I know is that creatures like Prince Philip, so creatures which have lived as human beings before, not him, but others have informed me before that a lot of ancestors are often unable to present themselves clearly towards living humans like that. So they are not always in the situation that they can communicate like that. But what Prince Philip communicated here and what I communicate is that both of us, we think it would be possible that the family members of him can organize an appointment with me, and I would come to the appointment with this creator directly. And then he would be able to use the wind and to communicate, to identify himself, and to solve these test questions, for example, I spoke about, if the family members want to do such a procedure. You can agree to that, right? And he's lifting the tool up, and he's turning the star. That he did confuse me for a second, but you did agree to that, right? And he's lifting that up one more time to make that clear. Okay. So the opportunity, the chance is there. Um, so if I produce with him other videos regarding other topics, do not get too confused because of that. I think his main focus, most important for him, is to be able to communicate with his family members again. So potentially you, if you watch the video. Um, and as I said, when I do have a contact partner, some questions maybe could get solved by video, but the best would be a meeting. That's what I think, because um, I can then explain the system, how they use the wind, how they canalize it, and what you as a human have to watch closely to understand everything. I can explain it the best way when it's happening, of course. And because I'm communicating so much with creatures which have lived as human beings before, that's always happening in the area where I am. And I'm in that situation now a few years, over 3 years, I think. We do not know each other that long, and you have lived your life at that time, but over 3 years, I think. So, and daily I'm in contact with creatures which have lived as human beings before. There's also another point. I'm in contact, for example, with the creature who has lived as my mom. So, for example, if I do have not contact with Prince Philip for a moment, for a day or a week or whatever, as long as I'm connected in that way, I can, for example, communicate with my mom, and she can then search for Prince Philip because they can have contact with each other as well. And then she can inform him that he's requested in the area where I am. And then he's there very quickly, normally. And you can agree to that. You think, like, in case we do not have contact, for example, tomorrow, but your family maybe have the question in their head, okay, now he's gone, is he lost? No, you could come back quickly and you could get informed, for example, from my mom, right, for an appointment, and then you would be able to come to the appointment. Is that, if you think that's correct in that way, then please trigger the wind that this thing is lifted up. He's lifting it up, and now it's pushing against this black tool, okay? And the other one, he's shaking it as well with more wind. So because of the networking possibilities these creatures have under each other, so it would be also possible if the family contact me, them to reach him. That's also important to understand. So it's not only that he can reach me, I also can reach him as long as he wants that, mainly. Um, Regarding me, to keep that very easy, um, I'm not a rich man. But I traveled often to the UK in my life, so I stayed often in the UK. My aunt is living in London, for example. So it would not be the biggest problem for me to come over in case the family want that. I've planned in my life regarding the next years that I have to go to London anyway. For example, because my aunt is living there. So that's just as an information. Um, Here at the moment in Frankfurt, just that you get an idea, here at the moment that's not the place where I normally live. Here I was invited from a woman, and I helped her to be able to communicate with her husband, so the man she has lived with. And since then she's able to communicate with him since months. So I'll be back in a moment. Um, just one moment, please. Because I have no lighter over here. I forgot my lighter. I just had a funny idea. I'm gonna explain you a little bit my situation a little bit further, because I know his family members are also well connected in the society, and in the other video you just agreed on the fact that you did a lot of charity during your life, right? So a lot of charity projects and stuff like that. Is that correct? That's correct, right? Can you trigger the wind a little bit more? Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Um, so I'm gonna explain you my situation a little bit better. I'm living on social benefits. What you see here is peaceful communication, friendly communication, but because creatures like him, so creatures which have lived as human beings before, can influence my human body, that can lead to situations where I'm unable to work in a normal daily job, so a 9 to 5 job if you want, like that. And I'm in the situation that I can communicate with such creatures since years now, but I live only on social benefits. So I cannot afford good video equipment, for example, and stuff like that. And if I could find one day a little bit support there, that would help a lot of creators like Philip as well, because then they could produce better documentations with me for their family members. And that's what I'm often doing. So the video you see here is one of many videos I produced with many different creatures which have lived as human beings before, which did present themselves to the public, which did communicate by using the natural environment to reach out for their living family members. So I'm a guy who's building the bridge by filming that, by asking them the questions, and by uploading that to the internet for the family members, that they see and understand potentially the opportunity they have to communicate with them again, and that they can understand the communication methods they can use. And he's agreeing to that strongly, and you can see in the background also the lyrics triggered a lot. So, and so I'm explaining you that my situation is I'm financially broke and I'm unable to work. Is true, even if I'm able to help a lot with such videos, for example. And because I do these documentations with and for creators like Philip, I'm searching for people which would be willing to support that financially. Because with the bigger financial possibilities, with more financial possibilities, I would be able to get better equipment, better video cameras, better microphones. The microphones are very bad. I have to use because of my financial resources. And the microphones are not good to capture leaves of trees, for example. or even when Philip is producing a sound with his wind to it, when he's triggering the wind strong, there can be a little sound which I can hear, but the cameras cannot capture that well. And with leaves, especially, like because plants and trees can get used for communication purpose, very specific, it would be great to have equipment which would document that also very specific. But that's not the case with the equipment I have here. So because your family is so well connected, I thought I'd give them that extra information because I'm in that weird situation since years now that I try to help so many creators, and I have to do that under so bad circumstances regarding the technical aspects, the laptop aspects, the financial aspects. And that's very, very sad. For example, I'm not able by my own financial resources to travel today to the UK. You would like to go to the UK today to try to speak to your family members? That's a question. What's this? What's the background? See that? I'm quiet. Hopefully the cameras can capture it. That was a strong yes. So if I would have the possibilities, for example, I would jump into an airplane and we would go to the UK today, like this evening. But I'm not in that situation. And the rest of the story of the past few years in my life is that it is very, very complex. It's easy to lose yourself in the story there. But to keep it simple, I'm spending the most time of my days with trying to help creatures which have lived as human beings before, which have lost their human body, to be able to communicate to the public and towards their living family members. And I'm trying to inform about these topics which are connected to that. But because universal communication can be so complex, because they can use so many methods, that's one of the reasons why I said do not lose yourself in the past of a lot of data which is online. But you can see from the data that there were many creators which produced, for example, documentations like this. So many creators which are using the natural environment to present themselves and to communicate with people. In that case, Philip, who wants to reach his family. So I had this morning contact with one of your family members by Facebook, via Facebook. And we have to I'm gonna send him the video. And would you like to see him, the guy I'm chatting with? Yes. So I'm gonna send you the video in our Facebook Messenger chat. Andrew, in that case. And Philip, you did produce input, right, in my human hat. You did drop his name into my human hat yesterday, is that correct? The star, yes, and he's triggering the wind, so that Andrew can understand that. Um, so he gave me your name as the key who I should contact, but you tried also with another name, right? And I got confused. Is that true? That is an extra information, and I have to ask him because I'm not sure yet regarding my other question I just forgot. Is it true you also did try another name and that did confuse me? Yes? Yeah? Then can you trigger the wind for that? He's triggering the wind for that. Okay. So to Andrew, that you do understand that one of the methods they can use is to trigger thoughts in human biological bodies, like mine, potentially like yours. I have learned as a human to reflect on a very high level in my human brain, in my thoughts, to identify input from creatures which are connected in symbiosis to my biological body. What Philip also can do, that he's triggering the wind. And that's how I received the thought with your name as an input. And before he tried another name, but I got confused. So I could not see it clearly and could not understand it well. And then when he dropped your name into my thoughts, I had no information about Prince Andrew, as far as I could remember at that moment in time in my own thoughts. So I did wonder where it's coming from, but I was in contact with Philip, so it was easy to build the bridge for me. The bridge of understanding for myself. Hopefully I did not confuse you there. So he would like to go to London or to the place where you live to see your family members as soon as possible, right? Yes, that's a strong yes. And he's channelizing the wind, and he's triggering the wind in the background as well for the family members. And you can see he's shaking the huge tree. And do you want to lift up that one a little bit more, one time? See, he's doing that. So he's making that very clear. Okay. So if I would have the financial possibilities, we would do that this evening. But I don't. I don't have them. So I just spoke that out to make clear I would be willing to come to the UK in case you want that, and then he would be high likely able to communicate so clear as he can do that here, but in the environment in the UK, of course. And he's triggering the wind for that. So if I would travel with him to the UK, he would be able to communicate with you by using the same method also in the UK. That's all I wanted to say. Regarding my time schedule, it's easy. You can request if you want to see me in the UK. You can request that, and I'm flexible. Let me say it like that. And he's agreeing to that. That's also how he sees that. As I said, my aunt is also living in London. She do have a beautiful house over there. But at the moment, I'm not in contact with her, so I would need a place to stay. In case I should stay for a week or so, depending on how long the family wants to communicate with Philip. And regarding the question how long I think they would need to understand the communication method to learn to do specific communication with the creator, Philip, I think they would need 1 hour most likely to understand the most basic stuff. And then maybe by practicing it another 1 hour or two, or maybe three, then they would be able to to understand Philip very well. That's what I think. So after 1 hour, they should have understood the basics normally. That's what I think, and I think the most people can understand the basics if they are in the live situation and if they get it explained in the live situation. And then, for example, Philip could communicate, could answer the questions, and if they feel comfortable, um, I could go a little bit in the back and they could communicate with them, and in case there are any problems, they could contact me. Which means I could build up a distance, but Philip would even then be able to use the method to communicate with them. So we would be able to create a most as possible private situation after a while between Philip and his family members if he's using it. Do you think the same, right? Do you think the same? You think they need a moment to understand the system to learn? Yes, he's triggering the wind strong for that. Okay. And after they have learned it, let's say no matter if it's just a very few hours or a moment longer, after they have learned it, do you think then it would be possible for you to communicate with them more private how they would see it, even if I, as a human with my human body, would be, let's say, a kilometer away or two, that wouldn't be a problem, right? Do you think that would? Yeah, that would work. And he's agreeing to that by triggering the wind, so that the family members can understand. So he's saying you would need time to learn that, a few hours also, maybe a day, okay, more wind. And he said afterwards it would be possible for him if I would be a kilometer away or 2 kilometers away, so that you would, as a family, would come together without other people which not belong to your direct family. Then he would be also able to communicate with you. Yeah? And he's agreeing to that. The one tool is hanging there. Help you? Help himself and agreeing. So, this video I think will be online tomorrow. Today is the 11th of April. But as I said, I'm traveling to Bonn later, so I can't produce a too long video, but maybe an hour is possible. And then I'm gonna travel to Bonn, but I'm gonna have contact with Philip in Bonn as well, maybe. And he's agreeing to that. So the location where I am is not the big problem for Philip in general. It's just if we do not have contact, let's say in a day or something, then it's just a question of reaching each other. And for me, as I explained, potentially the question of sending somebody to find him, to inform him, and then he would come. That's how humans can see and understand that easily, I think. So let's make that point one more time regarding security. You think that the meeting would be peaceful, and you don't think that something bad gonna happen. He's agreeing to that. Okay? That's why he triggered the wind. He's lifting that up to make that point clear. Okay, I made just the security point because of experience from the past, but not regarding others. Also regarding others, but more also regarding things which did happen in the past. So I'm making that point in general. But as I said, if I have a contact partner for that question, then I can send more details. And I also think a peaceful meeting shouldn't be the problem. For example, the woman I helped, that's the house where I'm staying at the moment here in Frankfurt, she's also peacefully communicating with her husband since then for months and months and months without huge problems. So, so I'm sad, but we cannot go to UK today because I'm broke. But if your family want to contact me, they can do that, or Andrew can contact me, and then I could fly by airplane to the UK, and then we can explain them your situation. You can then explain them your situation after I explain them how you can do that, and then they can solve all the open questions. And he's agreeing to that. And I'm sure you have like a list in your mind who you want to see and who you want to speak to from your family. Is that true? Yes. He did trigger the wind, and he did turn the star, but very specific, directly into the area where I was watching with my eye. Okay, so that's how I analyze it. He's agreeing to that by triggering it. So I'm sure your family members will know, or do you think they will know who you would like to see? Most likely, like they do have. Yeah, yeah. So to the family members, Philip would like to speak to a few of his family members, not just Andrew, no more. Um, Most likely, yeah, who's all of them, right? I don't know. um, you would speak to the most of the people. You would like to speak to most of the people you did hang around with during the time where you lived. Is that correct? Yes, and then you have a family priority list, and your family knows that. Yes. Okay, that's easy and that's clear, right? He's triggering the wind for that very strong. So he would like to meet the family members he was spending lifetime with a lot. He's triggering the wind clearly for that. And also afterwards, he would maybe speak to some other people, communicate with some other people he would know from the past as well. So maybe non-direct family members, friends, yeah, or do not have to be afterwards, but he has the priority list with the family, and I'm sure the family members do know by themselves. So Andrew, I'm sending you the video, the direct link also. So you have a lot of opportunities to inform the family. I know in the first moment it's like maybe difficult to understand. Do you think it's going to be difficult for them to understand? Yes or no? Yes. Can you trigger the wind them one more time? Is yes correct? You think they have enough knowledge about the possibility that creatures can use them? Some of your family members. Yes. Okay. Therefore. Okay. So he thinks the family members. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's good. That's very good. Okay. And then we just have to, the family members just have to work out which questions they want to ask him for the identification, that they feel much as possible comfortable. And it makes sense to create a few tests because maybe, for example, if they want to meet him, they can test his identification. Then it can get tested in a video, but maybe after a while he's coming back, and then a new identification should take place. So it makes maybe sense to prepare a few tests if you want. And as I said, he can answer yes or no questions very easy. So it would make sense to create a test with questions only Prince Philip can answer, and where you think only he can answer them, and where he can reply with yes or no. So you can build into the test some wrong questions and traps. That would work, right? They can put a trap into the test. Yes, that shouldn't be the problem for him to solve. Okay, that's why what he's triggering the wind for. So yeah, I have to go to the UK anyways because my mom wants to speak to her sister, and my mom is in a situation like he is. She lost her human body a while ago. And I belong to the humans who did not want to accept that. That's why I did fight to have contact with creatures which have lived as human beings before, to have contact with my mom. That's how I started universal communication on a good level, just as an information for you. So I came from a family situation into that to that point that I decided to fight to have contact with a creature which has lost the human body. My mom. Susanne Ilse, wie das she did check the identity of Prince Philip also, as far as she could, and she came to the conclusion it is the creator who is Prince Philip. That's as an extra information. That's what my mom communicated to me a day or 2 days ago. I'm not quite sure about that. But 2 days ago, I think. Because before I uploaded the video, I did check that with my mom. So, the first video, which is on. So to the family members, we could meet in the UK or in Germany, and we could use every garden, for example, if you want to have some privacy, like in a garden like this. Every garden would be possible for Philip to communicate in, as long as he's in the situation that he can influence and control the natural environment. He's agreeing to that by lifting the wind too large, so that you do better understand that. And then there's no need for a huge preparation of stuff. Normally that's not necessary. And he's agreeing to that as well. Can you agree to that? You got the wind? Yes. He's putting some wind over here now to agree to that. and he triggered the wind very strong in the background, so please watch the background also. I'm gonna use the small camera. I hope it's filming well. As I said, I do not have good equipment. This camera is broken, sometimes there is a problem, but I try to present you the area. So that's the area where he just triggered the wind, and that's the garden where these are the cameras which are filming this moment. So two cell phones which are very cheap, sadly, and not water resistant, and a broken camera. And one of the microphones is not working very well. I'm just saying that with the water resistance, because you could see it's a little bit dark up there. So in case it starts to rain, I have to stop the video. Let me drink something for a moment. Do you also think if you would be able to communicate with your family members, they could learn a lot from you now, right? Because you have so much knowledge, which you can catch in the symbiosis, because you have another perspective on planet Earth. And he's agreeing to that by triggering the wind. Okay, let me explain that, because he have lost his human body, how he see planet Earth and the natural environment, his capabilities to analyze stuff are much bigger than they were during his lifetime as a human, even with a good infrastructure and people working for him. And he's agreeing to that. And that's because of what they are capable of, that they can use the natural environment, therefore they can also analyze it. And of course, they are able to connect to what I call the CI, so the central intelligence on planet Earth, for example, because they're able to, to outreach biological uh, biological bodies, for example. And from that, the creatures can learn a lot. They do know a lot. Not only regarding humans in general, no, also regarding the natural environment, how energy problems can get solved. So there is a lot of opportunities how living humans could cooperate with creatures which have lived with human beings before, and there are a lot of opportunities how living humans could receive important information to how to solve problems, environment problems on planet Earth, stuff like that regarding illnesses. So it's very, very complex. And he did agree to that by triggering the wind, and he's doing that one more time. That's why he's pushing them back. See? So that as a little extra information. So I'm sorry, I have something in my glass. Give me a moment. So in the other video, I did ask you, you did adopt very quickly to the new way of living, right? To the new lifestyle you have because you have lost your human body. Is that correct? You could adopt to the new situation quite quickly. Yes. And do you think that that is also because you became so old as a human? So because you have lived such a long life? That's not the case. That's not the case. That's not the case. You trigger the wind for. That's not the case. Okay. That's a question I have by myself. Well, that's why I did ask that. Because in the first video, I did ask him that if he did adapt to the new situation very well, that he have lost his human body. Some creatures do adapt to that situation quick, others need a moment. That's what I think from the communication I had with many different creatures. So it was interesting to hear that he could adapt to the new situation well. So the new capabilities, the new stuff he can do, how he can see today as a creator, uh, stuff like that. But of course, it's sad that you are unable to communicate with your living family members in a way that they can understand that. Yes. So that's the point which is sad for him. So not everything is perfect because he could adapt to the situation well. But that's good to hear, actually, because I have contact with some creators which had a huge problem that they have lost their career for more reasons beside the problem that they were unable to communicate. And he's agreeing to that. So that's a good situation for you then if you could adapt to that. Your memory, is it good regarding your human life? So maybe that's interesting for your family to know. Your memory regarding your human life, can you remember a lot of stuff? Yes. Okay, yes is the answer. He triggered the wind back here a bit in the small trees. And this thing here is hanging in the stative, but he did trigger the wind. I'm gonna ask again. Maybe that's the best. So your memory regarding your human life, is it well? Is it good? Can you remember a lot of stuff? And he's triggering the wind for that with the wind tool here, saying yes. Okay, that's also an important question because of the test we have to solve later, but he was quite comfortable how he communicated that he can solve the test, the creature who's triggering and catalyzing the wind. So that is good that your memory, then that you can remember the stuff, and that's helpful, of course. Oh, regarding the answers, regarding these test questions, there's an extra note from me. Because they can outreach human brains, please do not give me the answers. So do the test in a way that he have to solve the test without that I do know the answers. Later, when he have done the test, then you can tell me if the result was good or bad. He's agreeing to that. So that as an extra information. So it's a little bit difficult to create such a test, but not impossible. It's something quite easy to have the opportunity to communicate with a creature which has lost a human body, compared to what others have to do to be able to do that. Quite easy. That's what I think. Especially for family members. For others, it will be difficult because everything what is public data is not very useful for such a test, right? Yeah. I help you. Yeah. You retain yourself so much. So it's 3 o'clock today, and I have to leave to Bonn very soon. So I do not want to produce a too long video today. And this one gonna be uploaded, as I said, most likely tomorrow because I'm sitting in the train later. And then maybe another day we can produce another video. And I'm gonna send this video to Andrew. And Andrew, hopefully you understood that this creator, which identifies himself as Prince Philip, as the creator who has lived in the human body of Prince Philip, he would like to come to the UK with me to meet you and other family members to be able to communicate with you directly so that you get the lifetime experience in the area where the wind is canalized, and that he's producing a lot of wind for that and triggering the wind. And the reason is easy because you can feel the wind on your skin. You get much more impressions you get in live situations. You can solve your questions much easier than by watching videos. So and such a the communication could be very easy for you later after you have learned how it's working. That's what I think. He's agreeing to that. So regarding the wind, he's agreeing to that by this method. Because they have many communication methods, I will speak about this method. Okay, I'm gonna end the video. I'm gonna send it to you, and All the family members are invited to contact me if you want, and as I said, I could come to the UK. Um, we can do that if you want, quick, so as quick as possible if you want. However you like that, and you can prepare a little bit, as I said, with finding a good test method for the creator, so that would help Philip and you, I think. Uh, for him, it would be good to identify himself complex towards you, and you can feel them comfortable during the time periods when you then communicate with him. And he's producing a lot of wind in the background for the family members, and he's triggering the wind. But he did trigger the background because they're hanging there like this. This thing, this black thing here is not perfect for these tools, but I could not hang them over here. So I apologize for that. But if you would be here live, you would see all the background very clear. You would feel all the wind waves on your skin. It's always quite impressive if creators like Philip do communicate like that for living humans, if they do not know that that can work. And Philip thinks the same. He's agreeing to that. And a very huge area can get used. A very huge area can get used. I'm gonna use the small camera just to present you the area over there, and you could see in the background the trees were even triggered. So he did a moment ago when we did talk about the family part. He did trigger the wind in the whole area, and now he's canalizing the wind to the point where I'm pointing with this mobile camera at. See it? So that's the garden area where we filmed. And yeah, me and him, we can maybe produce another video later. And today I have to spend some time in the train later, so that's why I have to keep the video short. So, and the family, your family members are invited, and then we can go from there on. Okay, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching United Sebastian Power Sieger, and that is Prince Philip, as far as he created himself, who did canalize the wind, as you have heard and seen. And I'm gonna send you the video material and my contact details. And in the videos, I think your family members have a lot of information for the first little moment. Huh? Yes, but you would like to communicate quicker with them, better, more complex. Strong yes for that. You could see the wind is getting triggered in the background, and he's triggering the wind for that. So he's saying also talk to you later, to the family members. Correct, right? With the wind wave? Yes. Okay, so we will produce another video in Bonn also maybe. And you can contact me if you want. I sent you the email address, my phone number, and from there on we can organize to meet, and then you can get the lifetime experience. You can learn how he can communicate with you. I can explain that to you, train you a little bit, and then he will be able to communicate with you directly. And in between, we can also solve these test questions, and then your family should feel comfortable with the identification if you solve their own tests. That's what I think. Yes. Okay. And I'm gonna wait for your reply. Thanks for watching your United Sebastian Party. And Prince Philip.